The new 2.0 update for Guilty Gear Strive is finally out, and this has to be one of the biggest balance patches for a fighting game in a long time. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 tips to understand some of the biggest and most significant changes and get a smooth start with the patch with your favorite character and the system mechanics in the game. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we have to talk about or go over is gonna be the new mechanic, Counter Blitz. This is here to replace Wild Assault that has been removed from the game, and it is this kind of like cinematic that you get by doing forward dust after a counter hit from a normal that is a special cancelable, okay? And also the normal on counter hit needs to cause a slow motion effect because it is not possible to get it from, for example, regular punches, regular kicks. It is not possible to input forward dust and actually get the cinematic. Essentially nothing happens. But if you get a counter hit from something that causes a slow motion and you input forward dust, it gives you, the new mechanic. And if you're close enough to the wall, you get the wall break, and it's a ton of damage. 157 damage from close / counter hit into the cinematic with the wall break is really, really strong. And if not, it's 122. And it actually gives you some Oki. So it is a pretty strong mechanic if you use it well. I would say that the best usage that this mechanic has is to essentially do it if you have some sort of special cancelable normal that doesn't have a big reward on counter hit necessarily in terms of combos, right? Because if I get something like close slash, it is probably better to just do something like this, right? Instead of trying to do the new mechanic. And I can use 50 meter and get almost 70% with the new stuff that Soul has in the game. But if I get something like a 6P that causes the slow motion, the combo that I can get from this is not necessarily as good, and maybe just doing the counter blitz is high reward enough to actually use it. So 140 damage, wall break, meter, right, because of the positive bonus. So yeah, it's a pretty good mechanic, but it has some nuance depending on the combo routing of your character, the move that causes the slow-mo, and what is better for your combo routing, if it is either the regular combo route or actually doing counter blitz. Oh, and one key detail before we move into tip number 2 about counter blitz is that you can get it from overheads and lows if they cause the slow motion effect. Like for example, if I do 2D with Saul, right, and it is his sweep, it actually causes a slow-mo effect. So I can just do counter blitz even though it is a low. So the mechanic is not restricted to only mid attacks, and that's something that can make it, I guess, a little bit stronger if you have a slow-mo effect from a normal that is an overhead or a low. It is essentially kind of like a free hit confirm if you don't know what combo routing to do after that. So it's pretty good if you have it kind of like on your arsenal to understand when it is better, like I said earlier, to go for your BMB, your combo, your big combo routing, or if you just want to keep it safe, boom, you do counter blitz with forward dust, and you get a ton of damage, meter, and more. So pretty good. And now let's move into tip number 2. Hey, but before we continue, if you think that the video has been helpful or useful for you, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to support the channel, especially if you like content around fighting games, because that's what we do over here. And now let's hop back into it. And well, for tip number 2, we are going to talk about throws, actually, and also about backdashes. And the reason for that is because these two options cannot be purple Roman cancel anymore. And what that means is that if you whiff a throw, right, you cannot cancel it during the animation. The animation needs to be over, and then you get a regular like blue Roman cancel. Before, you could actually whiff throws and just mash Roman cancel and cancel the animation to not get the actual whiff recovery frames, right? And people would use it sometimes for like pressure. They would throw you in the corner or stuff like that. And if people were backdashing or trying to react to your throw or tech it on wake up, they would just purple Roman cancel and they would get some sort of punish on you or setup. And the same for backdashing. Backdashes in this game have invincibility frames, and a lot of people were doing backdashes into an actual purple Roman cancel to use that as some sort of close range interaction, and people maybe whiff a normal after you backdash purple Roman cancel and you punish them, stuff like that. So all of those things are gone. They are not in the game anymore. And now if you want to actually, for example, do a throw, it is a much more committal option than what it was before, and the same with backdashing. So if you want to use these options, just take into account that they are arguably worse than before, or at least they are more committal, and there's going to be consequences if you do them wrong. Instead of just doing it, boom, purple Roman cancel, and we're done. It is not possible anymore. Now you actually just get the blue one at the end of the animation. So it is a pretty relevant thing to understand, especially if you play a strike throw character that likes to do regular throws a lot. Maybe you need to kind of like adapt your game plan a bit right there, change your setups with purple Roman cancels, since now it's gone. So relevant to take into account. And now we can move into tip number 3, and this one is connected to reversals or whatever, invincible option your character has, whether it is a special move or a super. They got nerfed across the board. The first change is that you cannot purple Roman cancel anymore at all if you whiff a DP, or if you whiff a super and you have full meter, doesn't matter. Cannot be cancelable anymore. And then let's say someone blocks a DP or they block a super. Even if you have full meter again, not possible to cancel it. Even on hit, it is not possible to get a conversion out of a super, for example, you have full meter anymore. So it is a huge change. It means that every single DP or reversal option in the game is much more committal. They are now more similar to what, reversals are on Street Fighter in many ways. Like if you want a DP, it is a full commitment. If you want a super, full commitment as well. So really important change that they need to take into account. Then the other thing that is also huge is that they are more minus. Let's look at this, right? I do a DP with Sol, it is minus 40. So now it's not only that you cannot cancel them or make them safe, but also they are more punishable than before. So be very careful now about using DPs, using supers. It can mean very quickly that you lose a round because, people get a huge punish on you. They break the wall, they get positive bonus or Oki, and then boom, you get into a two-touch situation because you decided to do a reversal, okay? So be careful about your invincible options. They are much worse than before. Okay, so now we can move into tip number 4, and this one is about command throws or command grabs. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because they got a huge change in this patch that makes them arguably much more weaker. If you see with Kai right here, I have Kai set up to do a regular throw on wake up. Let's say that I want to do a command grab as my Oki option after I grab him. Well, now I lose, okay? Since he's doing a regular throw on wake up and command grabs don't have throw invincibility anymore, it is actually an answer to deal with command grabs on wake up because you just lose the interaction. If you're on offense and you try to do a command grab on Oki, you just lose to the regular throw. So this is the big thing that you must understand if you either play a character that has a command grab, because it means that now is a much worse option on Oki specifically, much worse. Or if you play, for example, a character that doesn't have one and you hate them and you want more counterplay for them, you can do a regular throw on wake up if you think you're gonna get command grab and you win the interaction. So it's a really big change that is super important that you need to take into account whether you love or hate command grabs. And now the last thing we have to talk about for tip number 5 is that you really need to hit training mode on this update and lab your favorite characters, because there's not only a lot of system changes, there is also a lot of character changes, right? There's new moves, which means new combo routes like this with Sol and the new extension to his DP. They're really cool and a lot of damage. You also have new moves with a character like Kai, for example. Kai has an extension to his fireball now, and it also gives him some juggle opportunities. Stuff like this works, day one stuff. But there's just so many new things in the game, and whatever character you play, whether they got a new move or not, they are probably very different from what they were on the last patch, not only because of the system changes, but literally new frame traps, maybe new frame data, new interactions with combo routing, and more. So whatever character it is that you play, there is a high chance that they are very different now. So hit the lab, check the patch notes, wait maybe for people like Rufflemonger to make the big visual guide for the patch, and just check the characters that you like to understand how different they are now. So that was the video, guys. I hope that it was useful, that it helped you to understand the update, the system mechanic changes, and it gives you kind of like a smooth start with Guilty Gear Strive 2.0. Also, if you have never played this game before, it is arguably the best time to get into it because this is one of the biggest balance patches or changes for a fighting game in a long time. So perfect timing if you want to maybe buy Strive and give it a try. I know that it is on discount right now, so perfect opportunity. Like and subscribe if you think that the video was useful. If it helped you, I would really appreciate it. And see you on the next one. Take care.